Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving head first into the terrifying mechanics of a viral horror short called The Mimic Behind the Bathroom Door. We're going to look right under the hood to see exactly how it manufactures fear from the ground up. If you've ever wondered why certain stories literally make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, while others just kind of fall flat, well, you're in the right place. We're going to break down the anatomy of a scare using nothing but the source text itself. Police found Rohan's phone in the hallway, but the bathroom was empty. This chilling conclusion, that's our ultimate destination today. It's the viral ending line that leaves the audience completely unsettled. But to understand why this final sentence works so brilliantly, we need to reverse engineer the nightmare. We have to look at the exact structural choices, the pacing, and the sensory manipulation the author used to earn this incredibly grim payoff. Here's the roadmap for how we're going to dissect this suspense today. First, the anatomy of a viral scare. Second, the baseline of complete isolation. Third, the masterful use of silence. Fourth, auditory escalation and pacing. And finally, executing the perfect twist. Let's get right into it. Section 1, Anatomy of a Viral Scare, Defining the Threat. So the title itself actually gives us our first structural clue. A mimic is a creature in horror lore that imitates human voices or appearances to lure in its victims. Knowing exactly what a mimic is immediately grounds us in a very specific, highly deceptive type of threat, right? This isn't some slasher kicking down the door, it's a psychological predator. And honestly, what's more terrifying than something that uses your own trust against you? By establishing this archetype, the story tells us right out of the gate that we absolutely cannot trust our senses. And more importantly, our protagonist, Rohan, cannot trust his. Section 2, the baseline of complete isolation, setting the stage for dread. Now notice how efficiently the author stacks the deck against Rohan in just a few short sentences. It's 2:41 a.m., the dead of night, a time naturally associated with quiet and vulnerability. He's home alone, sitting in a dark room. His activity, editing videos, means he's hyper-focused, likely staring at a bright screen in the pitch black, which completely ruins his peripheral vision. And his only immediate lifelines, his parents, are out of town. 300 kilometers away, to be exact. So before a single strange sound even happens, the story deliberately cuts Rohan off from any immediate physical help. He is totally on his own. Section 3, the masterful use of silence, the absence of sound as a threat. Okay, now we arrive at the absolute core technique of this story and a major focus of our explainer today. Rohan hears a soft whisper from the bathroom. Rohan. What does he do? He freezes. And then he slowly removes his headphones. Here, the author places a single isolated word into the narrative, silence. By having Rohan take off his headphones, the author forces a heavy, deliberate pause into the structure itself. It shifts Rohan and us, the readers, from a state of passive listening to active, terrified listening. Silence here isn't just background noise. It becomes his agonizing waiting room for the next scare. The crucial point here is exactly how the author weaponizes that silence. Think about the transition. We go from a quiet auditory intrusion, that soft whisper of his name, straight into an unnatural vacuum. As Rohan steps into the hallway, the text notes the entire house was silent, but then adds this really critical qualifier, too silent. This stark contrast between a subtle noise and a heavy, unnatural quiet creates a massive sensory manipulation. It literally forces you to lean in, straining your own ears, completely immersed in Rohan's dread. The real suspense? It lives entirely in the empty space between the sounds. Section 4, Auditory Escalation and Pacing, Breaking the Silence. Let's look at this perfectly calculated timeline of Rohan's sensory inputs. We start at 2:41 a.m. We get that first whisper, which drops us right into that unnatural silence we just talked about. Then the author starts controlling the pacing with this staccato phrasing, step, step, step. This mimics Rohan's slow, terrifying walk down the hallway. It perfectly accelerates our anxiety as readers, building this steady rhythm that is suddenly, abruptly interrupted by the next major sensory spike, a knock from inside the bathroom. But, auditory dread just isn't enough on its own. The story layers it with psychological doubt. Rohan sees the bathroom light is on, but he clearly remembers turning it off. This is such a classic horror mechanism. It forces the protagonist to question their own grip on reality. So not only is there an intruder mimicking a loved one, but the physical environment is contradicting his own memory. This one small visual detail dramatically amplifies the tension as he stands frozen in front of that flickering light. Let's see how this all builds to a boiling point. We begin with that soft, pleading whisper, sounding exactly like his mother. Then, the first knock. As Rohan trembles, reaching for the handle, the physical violence at the door starts to escalate. The text itself emphasizes this progression. Harder, louder. The volume of the text literally expands on the page, mirroring Rohan's absolute, mounting panic. The threat is trying to break out, or actually, scratch that. It's trying to compel him to let it out.
Section 5. Executing the perfect twist. The subversion of expectation.
Just as the tension at the door reaches a total breaking point, Rohan's hand is literally reaching for the handle, the story completely pulls the rug out from under us. His phone buzzes. It's a text message from his actual mother, saying, "Whatever you do, don't open the bathroom door." This single line is just a structural masterclass. It instantly transforms the pleading voice inside the bathroom from a distorted cry for help into a confirmed, absolute trap. His blood runs cold, and our expectations as the audience are entirely upended. And the second that trap is revealed, the mimic doesn't even need to hide anymore. We transition straight from the lowercase, desperate plea of the mother to bold, all capital letters, "He already let me in." The text notes the voice changes. It gets deeper, it's not human anymore. By shifting the capitalization and the tone so aggressively, the author visually and audibly transforms the threat from a deceptive lure into a dominant, non-human force. The facade is entirely dropped. But wait, that line, "He already let me in," sets up the ultimate misdirection. Look at the sequence of this final scare. Something wet touches Rohan's shoulder. From behind, he turns slowly, and his mother is standing there smiling with completely black eyes. Because the author spent the entire story focusing our attention and Rohan's attention on that locked bathroom door, we completely forgot to watch his back. This horrific sequence of sensory details, the wet touch, the slow turn, the terrifying visual of the black eyes, creates a devastating, inescapable climax. Which brings us right back to the beginning. Police found Rohan's phone in the hallway, but the bathroom was empty. Now we can see exactly how masterful pacing, total physical isolation, and the agonizing manipulation of silence inevitably built up to this grim finale. The story doesn't even need to tell us what happened to Rohan. The empty bathroom and the abandoned phone in the hallway tell us everything we need to know. The mimic won. It's a chilling, unresolved ending, earned through a tight, relentless structure. Now that we've explored how the absence of sound can be your absolute most terrifying narrative tool, I want you to think critically about this. How will you use silence in your next story? How can you manipulate pacing, stretch out a pause, and make your audience lean in just a little too close before you drop the scare? Keep analyzing, keep building those structures, and let the dread speak for itself. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.